Assalamu alaikum, board members, please, if you can come in front. We have to introduce.
We'll just do the introduction.
Just introduction. And also the committee leads, please.
Oh,
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Welcome. This is our annual community forum. This is where basically we would like to talk about the accomplishments that we have done for the past year. And would like to start with the introduction of the board members here. We have Khala Noha here, Sister Atiya, Brother Ahmad Al-Maki, Brother Ahmad Sidki, Brother Bashir. Sister Kautar is traveling actually, so she's not here. She's our CFO, and myself, Zia. And we have a couple of committee leads actually, Brother Mohi Abdul Ghani, Brother Rami,
and Brother Hadi for young
Brother
people.
Hadi. Oh, Brother Hadi is here. Okay, mashallah. Brother Hadi is here. So welcome, inshallah. Can we put the second slide? Yeah. So this is the agenda for today, inshallah. We will just finish the introductions. We're going to start with the dua now, and then probably we'll go with the community updates. So we have few committees that's going to present their slides, inshallah. And there is a Q&A session at the end. So I request all your questions, please save it. We'll have an interactive session after the committees presents their slides so that we can basically get your feedback, what worked versus what didn't work, inshallah. With that, let me start with the dua.
So, Bismillah wa salatu wa salamu ala Rasulillah, ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless this gathering. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us all to make decisions that are best for this community. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala purify our intentions. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept our deeds. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put blessings in everything we do for this community and help us to make this community a model community. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala purify our hearts from any animosity or hatred towards any of our brothers and sisters. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us to create a community that will yield, inshallah, future leaders for Islam and for this ummah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help relieve the pain that our brothers and sisters all around the world are growing towards. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help the people of Gaza, inshallah, see relief and see freedom and see victory, inshallah. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help our brothers and sisters all around the world. Ameen, ameen, ameen. Wa sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. So we'll start, inshallah, with the religious committee. Actually, let me just make sure. So one quick second, just for those who don't know committees and what they are. ICOI's board is what's called a governing board. So our focus is on the accountability of the organization, the governance of the organization, making sure that it is legally compliant, financially compliant, and so forth. There are other boards that would be, like in other masajid and so forth, that would be more of a working board where they do all the work themselves. We're not that. We're not aspiring to be that. We're aspiring to always be a governing board. And with that, we have committees. And so all the work that is done in the organization is done through committees. Next slide? Or whoever has it, sorry. Khalas. So we have, these are the committees we have. We're not going to go through every single one of them, like legal, nominating, membership. That's some more compliance work and like legal work. But we are going to go through the main committees that have really contributed to the programming and activities of the masjid. And that will be the Religious Programming Committee, Community Development, Expansion, Outreach, Community Assistance Program, CAP, talk about finances, and we'll talk about our young professionals. So those are the committees that we're going to go through, and we'll go through them fast. I know they sound like a lot. We'll be here till 10, inshallah, maybe 9. I don't know. We'll see, inshallah. 9 is our goal, inshallah. Khalanoha will direct this. We'll get this done. All right, so religious programming. Brother Rami.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. I hope that everybody is hearing me. I'm not used to putting these mics around. طيب بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا ليوم الدين. I think I'm going to use the other mic if this keeps juggling around inshallah. طيب, just to follow up at what Brother Ahmed said, first of all, what the committees are doing, especially the religious programming committee, is actually a joint with a lot of like the other committees, number one. And actually, first and foremost, I would like to basically thank the administration of the masjid. MashaAllah, tabarakallah, a lot of the execution is not done by the actual committee, but it's done actually by the office. So Sister Karima, mashallah, tabarakallah, Brother Amin, their staff, they are the ones who are actually, mashallah, tabarakallah, doing the flyers, coordinating, making sure the setup is there, setting up, mashallah, like the projector, making all of the work easy for all of us. So I just wanted to start by thanking them, Jazahumullah khair. They are actually making the majority of the work. The religious programming committee role is actually coordinating, strategizing, coming up with ideas, and actually would like to thank the community members, because a lot of these programs are actually ideas from the community members. So just to give you a little bit of a context before we dive into the programs and what has been done throughout the last year. This committee started around around a year and a half ago, and when it started, and this was presented, I believe last year, there was a high-level strategy. There were multiple workshops. Sheikh Mustafa Umar was our religious director, and he led the efforts. And basically, in a nutshell, we came up with three main strategic directions. So we have Tarbiyah before Ta'aleem as focus areas for how the programming should be done at ICOI. Number two, ritual to spiritual. So basically we have the ritual part, but how we can also make it spiritual. And then how we can make the programming at ICOI transformational and experiential. That are the main things that we are trying to focus on. So how we are going to do that? Like what are the channels that we have? So the religious programming committee is overseeing the main things, which are the regular things, which are basically the adhan and prayers, and we have the khatiras, and we have the khutbas. And then there are the programs. So we have the main program that is basically led by Sheikh Muhammad, the Quran Institute. We have halaqat and series, and we have conferences and workshops. And then we have other themes, basically. So we had Ramadan, Hajj, we had the Seerah theme, for example, a few months ago. So these are, in a way, how the programs are being basically managed. So all of these objectives go into the different programs. At the beginning, I want to focus on how we are trying to approach the Tarbiyah before Ta'aleem and how we are approaching ritual from ritual to spiritual. So these are just examples. So for example, when we talk about the adhan and prayers, mashallah, tabarakallah, we have Sheikh Muhammad. He is leading our daily prayers. And one of the things that the religious program was thinking about from the beginning, how we can make sure that the next generation are being ready, how we can also invest in our youth. So this is why we came up with basically during the weekend, we have the youth. They're being trained by Sheikh Muhammad and by the Quran Institute, and some of them actually go to other Quran schools outside of ICOI, but at the end of the day, they are part of the community. How we can give them a chance to lead the prayer. So basically, we created a policy, and there is a process to qualify people and how we can basically make them better and how they can be engaged in the community. Plus, they volunteer and lead the prayers during the weekend. So basically, they lead Fajr, Maghrib, and Isha during the weekend. And this also with adhan. So we also have our youth lead adhan during the weekend, especially for Maghrib. And we had, for example, this is one of the community members. He came up and said, I can actually give a program for leading the history and training for adhan. So this is how basically we're trying to incorporate ta'aleem and also the tarbiyah part to be part of what we are providing at ICOI. And then we also have the khatira. So the khatira is basically one of the key things that a lot of the feedback that came from the community, it's actually helping the community not just come, pray, and go. They actually come, pray, they sit down, they connect with the khatira, that something spiritual, how we can basically, it's not just that we're coming for a ritual, we are actually coming to educate ourselves, elevate ourselves spiritually. So alhamdulillah, managing the khatiras throughout the week. And also the same thing, we want to give chances to our youth. So now, as you know, every Saturday after Isha, we have the youth giving khatira. And we are also making them backups sometimes during the week to give khatiras to the community so they can, inshallah, be tomorrow's leaders and they can benefit the community as well, inshallah. And we have the training program given by Sheikh Mustafa Omar that we started a few weeks ago. And then we have the big program, which is the Quran Institute. So just to give you a little bit of like transformation that happened, what we're going to see in the next slide. But mashallah, tabarakallah, this year with the leadership of Sheikh Muhammad, and we have also Sister Rula, mashallah, tabarakallah, from the management. They did a full revamp of the Quran Institute, taking the feedback, going through the whole. Last year we had over like 100 people in the wait list. All of that, alhamdulillah, was accounted for. And now, after revamping the program, mashallah, we doubled the numbers. Not only that, but we have actually more people waiting in the wait list, as we're going to see in the numbers. But now, mashallah, we have the main Quran Institute program, which we have 4 levels, beginners, intermediate, and then we have the Hifth Quran, which is intensive, and we have online as well. And we have other programs helping and assisting basically the Quran Institute, which is basically there's a girls Quran. There is also the brothers Quran recitation and tajweed given by Brother Walid. And of course, during Ramadan, we have the Quran competition. So all of this is part of how we, the main thing basically, which is the Quran, and how we, as ICOI, making the focus to teach our young generation the Quran. These are some numbers. So basically, last year we had 108 mixed basically between the programs and the online. We had about 100 in the wait list. Now we have around 160 covered between the programs, and we have 185 in person. They don't want online. They want to come in person. We have a capacity for online, but they want to come in person. And as we're going to see in the challenges, one of the biggest challenges that we're facing here at ICOI is space, as most of you might guess by now. Last thing I want to talk about, which is the transformational education and experiences. So again, everything that we're doing, trying to basically make it a transformational experience. And one of the things that at the beginning of the year, and this was actually led by Brother Amr Musalhi, he was actually doing the themes. How we can do the themes throughout the year. So we had basically, we had Hajj, okay, we had also Ramadan, and then we had the Seerah, like when Rabi'a was there, if you remember, we had like even the door, like had like the Prophet Mosque. We are trying to make it more experiential. So we had basically like themes, like the last thing at ICOI, the mercy to mankind, like a full calendar to go into the theme. We also like talked to the people who are giving khatira, link the khatira to the theme. So basically we're trying to make it more experiential throughout the year so the community can link. And okay, everybody now is talking about like the seerah, so we can always reflect. And then we try to also include, and this was also with the support of the Community Development Committee, our dear brother Nabil Jalal, mashallah tabarakallah, and he helped a lot in these experiential things. So basically we had the kids mini Hajj. So basically we had here like the people who experienced that. We had like the actual like jamarat, like I mean, basically it's an experience. So the kids can actually live the experience, inshallah, before they go and do the Hajj. And we had, for example, when we had the Syria theme, we had VR. We had a team coming, they set it up here. We had stations set up there. Everybody went and actually they lived the experience of the Sira and seeing and basically being indulged in that experience. We also had other experiential experiences. We had, for example, honoring those who who passed. We had also actually this is coming up, which is also organized by one of the youth who's actually part of the committee, Brother Harith, for public speaking. We're trying to basically engage these programs so we can actually have more transformational experiences. This was basically like a lot of the programs that is happening now. We have now going on with Sheikh Hassan Alwan every Thursday after Isha, Al-Hikmah Al-Ata'iyya. We're trying to, again, doing the spiritual and the thing. Last slide I have basically the challenges. So we have space, and I hope that inshallah the expansion committee will address that. And then there is also one of the challenges, it's the volunteering capacity. Like, mashallah, the demands of the community is a lot. And we get a lot of requests, but sometimes having someone to lead from the beginning to end, there's a lot of coordination capacity. And sometimes we are not perfect. We do mistakes, we make mistakes, and I mean, even the complaints are very valid. We're doing the best, inshallah, and maybe this is an invitation to the community. We need volunteers who can basically say, okay, I have this program, I can take care of it from end to end, basically. So I invite all the community to basically, if anybody can come, they can come talk to me, talk to Brother Ahmed, talk to Brother Hadi from our religious committee as well. We actually basically rely on your input and your actually participation in, inshallah, delivering these programs. Future plans, we have, mashallah, now going on the Visiting Scholar Series. I'm sure you all know about it. We have an upcoming conference. The closest one is a youth conference being organized by the youth, and they're also coordinating, inshallah, with the young professionals. And we are basically continually improving, inshallah, our processes, policies, systemizing things. So, inshallah, it's going to be more of an institutionalized. And may Allah, inshallah, purify our intentions. And if you have any suggestions or anything, I would really, inshallah, welcome it. Jazakumullah khair.
Jazakallah khair, Brother Rami. The next is Sister Khalanoa.
Okay, assalamu alaikum. Yeah. Okay, so I am here on behalf of Brother Nabil Jalal, who is not with us today because he's actually in Umrah. May Allah bless him and may Allah accept from him and all the community members who have gone to Umrah, inshallah. So I am not going to be able to give this segment its due because, I wasn't involved in it as much, but there was no way we could not mention his contribution over this last year in the Community Development Committee. And this committee, if we were to summarize what their goal is, it's actually basically community bonding. It's actually bringing the community together so we all feel we are one big family here at ICOI. And I really truly believe that Brother Nabil, mashallah, has done amazing work this last year. We're very sorry that he stepped down, so he's no longer the head of the Community Development Committee. So hopefully someone would be encouraged to step up and actually volunteer. So again, just very quickly, so they had some regular programs throughout the years. So as many of you know, mashallah, Dr. Haifa was actually involved a lot with the girls and the women. So we needed also to cover who was going to be involved with the boys and our young men. So Brother Nabil stepped up, mashallah, may Allah bless him. So they had a daily Fajr Quran halaqa, they had a weekend Quran halaqa, and then other regular programs, they had a Friday trivia nights once per month. And for the halaqas, the Quran halaqas, there was a monthly Fajr breakfast and a monthly outdoor activity for the young boys. These are the special programs that took place over the year, over this last year, mashallah. So there was a very anticipation program for Ramadan. It was 90, 60, 30 days to Ramadan. Then there was another program called Faith Essentials on a Friday night. There was a welcome Ramadan fun night. He, may Allah bless him and his team, took care of the babysitting during Ramadan. May Allah bless him. In the second week of Ramadan, to the end of Ramadan, mashallah, in that program, there were about 60 children. And when that program actually took off, you could see the difference in the noise level in the, at ICOI. So may Allah bless them. Then there was a program about Palestine, Facts from the Ground, where Dr. Haifa and, forgot his name, Omar Sabha, yes, they came and talked about their experience to going to Gaza. There was also the ICOI Scientific Collaborative. There was the Hajj theme, which was in collaboration with the religious committee, and Arafah and Ashura iftars, and the Sirah theme. And then there was the cruise, that wasn't too long ago. And the last thing I think they did was a college prep workshop for our youth. So this is in a very quick summary what the community development have done. So I'm gonna encourage everyone, if you see Nabil Jalal, please, after he comes from Umrah, make sure you actually extend your appreciation and gratitude for what he has done this year for ICOI. And just to leave you with, sorry. Ooh. Okay, just some pictures from the events that they have done. Jazakumullah khair.
Jazakallah khair. Brother Hadi.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Wa salatu wa salam ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa alihi wa ashabihi wa man wala li yawm ad-din. So I'm going to talk about the young professionals. And so this is, you might ask, what young professionals, right? What does that really mean? Does that just mean career-oriented? And no, it's basically a demographic that historically hasn't been served. It's the 22 to 35. So think about the people who left university, who no longer have the MSA. They're in a lingering period in terms of having programming, having community at the masjid. So being able to have something is, mashallah, very beneficial. So I think it started about 3 years ago, and you would have events with max 10 people. And alhamdulillah, subhanallah, we're now reaching events for the young professionals. We're talking about 150 people in the new multi-purpose building, to the point that there's not enough space and there's not enough chairs, subhanallah. And so in terms of the vision of the group, as you see here, it says, aims to bring young professionals into the masjid, foster a sense of community where they can interact and connect with their faith, build lasting relationships, and find inspiration within their Islamic heritage, right? Making them proud to be Muslim. And so a lot of people, subhanAllah, testified that, no, being able to be exposed and be with Muslims has been extremely beneficial for them. And so in terms of the objectives, there's spiritual growth. So we have our Monday night halaqas with either Sheikh Haifa or another visiting scholar, or even community discussions regarding mental health, regarding careers, development talks. We also, inshallah, have our annual conference coming in February. And we also have professional development, so talking about career workshop, industry leaders, so learning more about their careers, as well as community building. So we'll do weekly socials, volunteering opportunities, subhanAllah. So some big achievements. They expanded the boards from just 3 volunteers to now being 8. So that really helped push it in terms of how many people are being able to do more tasks, more programmings. Instead of just thinking week by week, we're talking about quarter by quarter. And in terms of attendance, so 5 times the increase, and yeah, up to 150 attendees, subhanAllah. Some people coming as far as Los Angeles and Riverside just to attend it. And subhanAllah, it really grew the young professional communities across all of Southern California. And alhamdulillah, in terms of volunteering opportunities. So we're talking about things like, we had create meals for the homeless event, and subhanAllah, we thought it was gonna take about 2 hours. I think we got done in 30 minutes, just because of the number of volunteers that attend, alhamdulillah. And yeah, so mashallah, we also have an annual iftar that we do. We also do career opportunities. And here's an example of all the events that we've done so far. This is just a small glimpse, but also some advocacy work such as Hiking for Palestine, raising awareness, talking about difficult situations, talking about raising funds for Palestine. So a lot of good work, subhanAllah, as well as, for example, education, right? Understanding zakat, understanding things that they might not have learned or developed, as well as political activism and just general socials like a game night. So, alhamdulillah. Perfect, jazakumullah khair.
So before we jump into the outreach committee, I just wanted to give one quick reminder. We have one more hour left for voting. If you have not voted, either for the bylaws amendments or for the board of directors, please do so. We can do in person or we can have a link. Whatever the way it works for you, please do so. Jazakallah khair.
Assalamu alaikum. So I hope all of you are still awake. So I'm going to start with what really is outreach. I'm sure you guys have an idea, but outreach typically refers to the efforts we make with and connect with and serve the wider community inside both inside as well as outside the mosque. This can include a variety of activities aimed at engaging individuals, raising awareness, and building relationships. Under outreach, we have 3 subcommittees. Civic engagement is responsible for mobilizing and empowering individuals, just as it says it there, within the community to participate in civic activities and advocate for changes that contribute to the betterment of our society. Interfaith is focused on establishing relationships with other nonprofit organizations, organizing and coordinating events with them. Dawah, as you would guess, is focused on spreading the message of Islam through various events and offering training through workshops, which reminds me that there is a workshop that is being developed for the Dawah, under Dawah subcommittee. Inshallah, it should be coming up soon. We are collaborating with Al-Furqan, I believe. All right, so the next 2 slides are on the efforts and events that we had this past year. We have been very busy for reasons that you might already have an idea. I'll start off with, it's not in any particular order, so I'm just going to quickly read through these. We basically partnered with a local church here, University United Methodist Church, on an interfaith event. We, obviously, because it was an interfaith event, we talked about what Islam is, the basics of Islam. We distributed and had women try out hijabs and things of that nature. We also initiated a petition that most of you would know, and Brother Amr is sitting right there. He took the lead on that, along with other civic engagement committee members. And that petition for the ceasefire resolution, which we submitted to the Civic Council, Irvine Civic Council members, was actually signed by over 1,000 community members such as yourselves. So alhamdulillah for that. We did voter registration training by Arab American Civic Council, GOTV, Get Out the Vote, and voter registration tabling before the primaries as well as before the general elections. There were a lot of people that we actually, as committee members, were able to convince to actually exercise their right to vote. We did some civic workshops with the mayor and collaborated with CARE. There were tiny toddlers coming in from our neighboring school here, which they brought a big smile to our face when they visited. They actually observed the prayer. I believe Sheikh Mustafa was the one who led the prayer at that time. And they went back with goodie bags and a huge smile on their face. We also partnered with Ibn Bashir, an Islamic institute, where we, it was a program where orphans from Gaza were being sponsored, and alhamdulillah for our community, we had so many people actually sponsor the orphans. We were actually given the list of orphan children that were sponsored just by our community, alhamdulillah. We also collaborated with several nonprofit organizations and major masajid in the Disney Anaheim protest that was also for Gaza. Next is, I'm sure you guys had heard, in Ramadan, we started an initiative for kefiyas. We took up the challenge for 500 kefiyas to be sold within the 1 month span. And alhamdulillah, every single one of them was sold before Ramadan ended. All proceeds, 15,000 of it, went to Gaza. A good chunk of it, 10,000, was actually sent through the, Dr. Haifa and Brother Omar Sabha, when they went to Gaza from here. And then the rest of it was sent to Kinder USA organization. We did workshops, again, in collaboration with CARE on hate crimes and hate incidents. Our committee also boosted the Muslim Youth Leadership Program that usually takes place in Sacramento. It's meant for youth, and some of the youth from our community actually went and came back with so many wonderful lessons that they learned through on governance. We also participated in the annual Irvine Global Village Festival. We do that for the last 3 years. I don't see Sister Mariam here, but she's the one who makes that a success every single year. Alhamdulillah for that. Our first mayoral forum, candidate forum, we had it right here. Alhamdulillah, it was a house full, mashallah, very successful. And we also hosted a virtual Irvine City Council candidate forum. Alhamdulillah for that as well. Next is the Open Mosque Day. Alhamdulillah, again, it was very well attended, mashallah, a big turnout. And again, it was right here, the area out on the patio, as well as Hala Cafe. Many positive feedback that we got on that as well. Last one here is what we did with the MGN program. Again, another program that we collaborated with CARE. It's a Muslim Game Changers Network program that is dedicated for to high schoolers. And we had 30 spots, mashallah, 40 students signed up. One of the most powerful messages that they went back with is be the change, which I really loved about that. So very successful. The next few slides are basically pictures from, I'm sure you recognize the person right there, our previous board member who usually takes lead in the Irvine Global Village Festival events. These are some pictures from the Open Mosque Day, which was right here. Some more. And the last slide on the Open Mosque Day. This one was the first mayoral candidate forum right here with our two moderators down there. And the last one is the Muslim Game Changers Network, MGN, workshop. You can see all of the youth, the participation was amazing. They enjoyed, they actually were able to learn exactly how people in the Senate, in the Congress, they actually, they do their roles and learned a lot of valuable lessons. All right, so that is the end of outreach. This is just a reminder and a save the date for the sisters here. The Women's Committee is excited to bring to you the Turkish mosaic candle holder making. It is going to be on January 18th, so we look forward to seeing you there, inshallah. Thank you so much.
Jazakallah khair, sister. Now it's the finance.
Assalamu alaikum. So nice to see you all here. We've been doing this with very few people, so it's really nice to see all of you here. Thank you. Bismillah. I'm here just like Sister Noha on behalf of Sister Carter, who's our CFO, and she too is doing Umrah. May Allah accept for her and her family. Please pray for her. So this is financials of our ICOI compiled from the beginning of the year, that is January till October. November is still being worked on, so inshallah in the next meeting, or we'll publish them as part of the next quarter. Now, very important to note, these financials do not include the CAP program, Community Assistance Program. That's dedicated donations that are distributed, and inshallah, Brother Mohi Abdulghani would be here after me explaining how that's handled. Also, not included is the money that comes in for specific projects. These are called restricted donations that are not touched, and they're meant, for example, there's an elevator project, and that's restricted, the solar project restricted, so it does not include that. This is purely money coming in for other purposes and how it has been spent. One thing I want all of you to understand is, alhamdulillah, I've been here in Irvine since 2004, visiting here. We had some major donors in the past. And unfortunately, those donors are no longer supporting ICOI. But alhamdulillah, it's a good thing. They are supporting another masjid that opened. May Allah open many more like that. But that posed a challenge for ICOI. So alhamdulillah, despite that, we're doing well. Let me start with the first line item. That's membership dues. That means these are members who are paying ICOI on a monthly basis, individually or for family. We encourage you, if you know your friends who come here who are not members, please make sure they're members so that number can go up. We have approximately 2,000 to 3,000 regular folks who come, especially on Jummah, but that number does not reflect all the folks who come to ICOI. So that's membership dues collected. Village operators, if you remember, and there'll be more talk about the village later, these are folks who have set up businesses from our own community, and they're paying ICOI for use of the location and whatever membership they're collecting, they're paying a portion of that. So collectively, all the operators have started to deliver, and alhamdulillah, we had $100,000, little over that, collected from the village operators, and you'll hear more about them later. The Quran Institute and the Weekend School has been around for a long time. That's the revenue that comes from those two. Rentals are community members renting the facilities. You may have heard there's a wedding going on and so forth. So whatever comes from those community members is what you're seeing as rentals. And then any events or activities where you charge for the tickets and so forth. So we're kind of accounting for every revenue that comes in. And the last two, mashallah, we have very good, generous donors. And they're in two buckets that they donate. One is general donations and then village donations. Collectively, between the two of them, significant amounts of money that's being received, $1.6 million, alhamdulillah. So a total of $2.09 million collected in revenue from January to October. How that was spent? Obviously, personnel. You heard about how well the administrative staff and everyone is supporting these programs. Their salaries, and also the teachers who are part of the institutes, their salaries account to about $843,000, approximately that much. Operational expenses are next, and for any activities and events, whatever we are spending is listed there, and other expenses are there as well. We specifically called out the village expenses. So as you can see, there's rent, there's property tax, HOA, which is the Homeowners Association. All those are costing us, the 10-month cost is $258,000 plus. Operational expenses of that location. And lastly, expansion expenses are like minor changes we're making to the buildings and so forth. Now, you'll hear later there's tremendous potential at the village. We can increase what you're seeing as the village operators' revenue, but for that, we need to make an investment, and you'll hear about that more later. And the best thing that's happening with ICOI is, alhamdulillah, there's several folks in the community who gave Qard Hasan to acquire the buildings. And we have a very fixed promissory notes that say, by this date, I expect the money to come back to me. And alhamdulillah, some of the donors were also giving that as a donation. When we went back to pay, they say, we don't want it back. We are giving that as a donation. That has helped too. But to date, from the beginning of the year till now, we have paid back $655,000 that were received as loans to buy the building. Based on the collections and donations, we have been able to pay back as promised on that date. So alhamdulillah, Sister Kauthar and the finance team has been able to accomplish that. So the balance that you see at the bottom is what we have in the bank available to us. Now, I want to tell you two things before I end. One, you may sometimes hear that, oh, look at the balance, we don't have enough to run the masjid, and we don't have the funds to run the masjid, and ICOI is in trouble. Not true, because it's not that you can match the donations every month to the expenses every month. Alhamdulillah, every Ramadan, we get a spike. If you remember, 2 Ramadans ago, we made $1 million. And even last Ramadan was no different. We get a huge amount of donations that adds to our bank balance, and over the months that gets depleted till the next Ramadan. So if you look at any particular month, you look at the donations, and you look at the expenses, it may look skewed. You're spending $500,000, you only got $200,000. That's how it may look, but you have to look at the whole year, including every month, then it evens out. That's one point I want to make. And last but not least, a great thanks to Brother Amin and Sister Direction, who have been helping the finance committee to maintain all the books, clean them up, keep them up to date. And alhamdulillah, Sister Kader has been playing a wonderful job, doing a wonderful job as CFO. I wish she was here, but I'd like to thank all of them for supporting the committee. That's all I had. Thank you so much.
Jazakallah khair, Brother Bashir. That numbers, people who cannot read those numbers, it is on the website. The same slide is on the website as well. Just wanted to remind you. I think CAP is the next, Brother Muhi.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. بسم الله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. I'll be very quick, inshallah. So CAP Community Assistance Program actually started in 2015. So this has been 9 years plus, alhamdulillah. This is our financials for January till September. And basically, the purpose here is to show you that where the money is being spent. So we had a budget established with the board at the beginning of the year for $900 in terms of spending. Alhamdulillah, we are on track, as you will see. Where are the key line items? Obviously, rental assistance. Rent in Irvine has gone up in the last 2 years by like 30 to 40%. And people who live on minimum wage can hardly make it, basically, even if they work 60 hours a week or so. So you will see significant increase in the next chart of the number of applications we have been getting year over year. And actually, it is becoming literally overwhelming numbers of applications being submitted. Direct assistance of zakah, 100K. We do 3 zakah distribution every year. One pre-Ramadan. This is bab al-tawsi'a, meaning before Ramadan, you provide some ease to people before they start the month. Then we do zakat al-fitr. Then we do Eid al-Adha, back to school together. So these are zakat distribution. We have about 400 families on the roster that receive anywhere from $50 to $300. It's not a big dollar amount, so we don't do as much due diligence on those. If they ask and we do some minimum due diligence, it's a small amount for people basically to try to give them some ease in these Islamic occasions and seasons type of thing. This year, actually, we started the year and we were concerned about the budget in terms of donations. So we kind of split that 400 roster family between Zakat committee here or Zakat fund here and Rahma. So half the people got paid from here, the other people got paid from the Rahma cap, just to make sure we don't deplete this very quickly, because we were worried about donation versus spending in general. Counseling is another line item, not a big one. It comes from only sadaqah. Scholarships, 25K. Lodging, actually this is a phenomena that I haven't seen before. There are so many homeless Muslims, which is a new phenomena that we haven't seen in the past few years. And people would come here at Isha and say, I have no place to stay. So I get a call or I'm here and I make a reservation literally on the spot, and we try to give them few nights until we find the longer term solution. Car repairs and whatnot. We used to have actually a very expensive car program until last year, where we used to buy cars, used cars, and give it to newcomers. But with the price of cars, used cars jumping, and the number of applications tripling, we couldn't afford to do that anymore, so we had to stop that. So the only thing we do now is car repairs, car insurance, car registration, as such. And we have some Muslim mechanics who really give us a good break when we send our client to them. Utility, funerals, we had some money sent, also collected for the purpose of Palestine relief. And then I would say probably looking at how much tuition is for Quran Institute and weekend school, I would say at least 20% of the students are getting financial aid through CAP, the Sadaqah Fund, because we really believe it is the masjid job to teach our kids Quran and Islamic study. So even if the family cannot afford it, that should not be a constraint, and it's basically easy burden where I just look at the financials and I call it the honor system, ask the parents how much really you can afford. Remember, you are using Sadaqah Fund, and we go easy with people, basically try to make things happen. Okay, so one thing I keep emphasizing, alhamdulillah, every penny you donate goes to the needy. We have no overhead, nothing. I have to make a confession. We are getting free service from Sister Karim and her staff. We're not paying for that. The office, is being paid for by the general, masjid donation. CAP doesn't pay for that, but they really are our front line, just processing the application and interfacing with clients all the time. So we are getting a freebie here, but that also allows us to make sure every penny we get from you just go to the needy. No overhead, no salaries, no marketing, nothing basically. These are the people working in the CAP. So we have some case managers, basically all volunteers, 3 sisters and 4 brothers. So Sister Maharayan, who used to be a board member, Sister Iman Baroudi, Sister Afshan Siddiqui, Salim, Samir, Ijaz, and Islam, and then myself. For the cars, we have Brother Nader. He's my car expert for all the repairs, insurance, etc. And then we had food drives I'm going to talk about, where Sister Bushra and Sister Afshan lead that, and we do that once every other month. We actually now are serving people in the Inland Empire because Ijaz live there, so we can actually visit people in their home, even in the Inland Empire. We also expanded to southern LA, like Long Beach and Pasadena sometime, but we're getting there. And that we get sometime literally donations from, application from Sacramento or even out of state, because people heard about how generous this masjid is. So it's actually quite interesting sometime when you get such applications. But this is the most important number I want you to pay attention to. As you can see, just the last 3 years, in 21, we received 110 new applications. I'm not talking about repeat application. That number in 22 jumped by almost 100% to 198. Then in 23 by 258. In the 9 months or the 10 months so far, 335. So you can see these are all new applications. Now we have a total of 2,000. The other 1,700, I would say 30% of them are repeat clients. They don't come one time and go. So that tells you on a daily basis, I'm getting somewhere from 2 to 6, 7 requests per day in terms of help. And we need to filter through that and manage that process. Now, because of that increase and also the limited budget, besides stopping the car purchase program, we also start putting some limits of how much a family would receive per year from CAP. There is always special circumstances and exceptions that we vote on. Every one of those cases, These people vote through email, so it's not a single person decision. It's a team, basically, decision, and sometimes the circumstances warrant some exception to go above the limit in general. Now, if you ask me what is needed, what the community needs from help, I would say there are three things. Transitional housing. This is a problem that I'm starting to see. I mean, hotels are very expensive. It's $100 a night or $80 a night, and sometimes I need to put someone there for 2 months or something. That's a lot of money. One of the examples now, we collaborate with Islah LA. So Islah LA have leased a building that has literally 16 bedrooms. Every room they put 2 beds and they share a bathroom, and every room costs $1,300. So I actually, when I have some homeless, we have one of the things when people talk about Trump, he's right, the border is wide open. There are so many people just coming every day, no paperwork, no language, nothing, and they need a place to stay. So now we work with them because that's the cheapest thing I can do to have a roof over someone's head is to send them to Islah if they can go to LA, where I pay $650 per bed per month. No hotel will ever match that, but not everyone can fit in that circumstances. If you have a family that doesn't work for them, if you have a sister with kids that doesn't work for them, but if we can have some investment where we have our own transitional housing, where we can do that locally, that would be actually amazing. The second thing, a lot of people come and they are dignified people. They say, I don't want a handout. Can you give me a job? But they have no work permit or don't have, the skills needed or whatever. So that's like the job creation process. Maybe those who own businesses in the community, I would love to partner with them to find a way to employ more Muslim brothers and sisters. That would also be a great service. And then finally, the Islamic Cemetery project. And again, death has become very expensive, as you all know. Garden Grove and Westminster now, 25K, بيسموها موت وخراب ديار, literally. So you die and you lose your wealth altogether to bury your loved one. Corona is like 16, 15K. It has almost doubled in 2 years. Cyprus, maybe 13K. Sister Mariam, who was a board member, tried to help us to contact all the local cemeteries, didn't work out. We made one progress this year. We identified a businessman in the community who said, I am willing to put $2 million and form a corporation for profit, but it will be very small profit, to buy the land and put on it a small mortuary. So I felt, oh great, money was the issue. Now we got $2 million commitment. But I asked a volunteer real estate agent, Muslim brother, to find any land that is zoning-wise allowed to be in Orange County, that is not somewhere on top of the hills, where there is roads and utilities and things like that. So far, the answer is Zil. So now I need to either get another real estate agent or go outside Orange County. But that is basically the progress to date on this topic. With that, I conclude, inshallah. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.
جزاك الله خير.
بسم الله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله اللهم اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. Subhanallah, when you listen to all this progress, there's one word, wallahi, yani, Islam is an izzah. We're proud of the community we have. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward everyone. So many people behind these slides have put years and hours of sacrifice of their family and time. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward them all. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. We'll conclude, inshallah, with the expansion. We've given updates about that, so inshallah this is just really a wrap up of the year. The expansion committee, again, the purpose of establishing the expansion committee was to figure out the problem of space, right? We have parking problems, we have space problems, we use this musalla for everything, case in point. And then what can we do from there? As you all know, we bought 2 properties and we leased the 3rd. And the goal was, again, to build a Muslim village in the heart of Irvine. And it was never about the buildings. It was really about what services can we bring to the community, right? And why did we want to bring services to the community? Because again, the vision was if we bring more services to the community, we can build this idea of a stronger community, right? It takes a village to raise a family. If we can bring these services and create an environment around that, inshallah, we can see a transformation in our youth and prepare the next generation, inshallah. So today, I'm going to go over what services have we brought to the community over the past year. And alhamdulillah, this is really an opening and a blessing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we'll go over these quickly, inshallah. So the first time, we now have a full-time hifz school. 8 to 1 o'clock, full-time hifz. We have over 60 kids and another 60 on the waiting list. These are kids that are engaged in full-time hifz in the village. We have a full-time hifz school also integrated with math, English, and science. So it's really almost a full school from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. where they take full-time hifz and they take English, math, and science. We have world-class STEM classes for our youth here in the village. We have a full-scale makerspace, robotics academy, and competition club. These are, again, our kids engaging with Muslims, competing, and inshallah representing our community. State-of-the-art coding classes, including Python and artificial intelligence. An educational escape room, stop-motion animation studio. A one-of-a-kind program for boys 14 and up. We had this big gap, especially for boys that were high school students. What youth programs do we have for them? Alhamdulillah, we now have a really comprehensive program for them, from like tarbiyah to real manhood. And this is a comprehensive manhood program for them, where you can see them in ice baths, learning how to knit and sew, like discipline, tarbiyah, learning even how to shoot a gun, like truly a comprehensive program for boys. We have senior strength training. Again, our seniors in the community had very few programs for them in the realm of wellness and activity. So we have that program. A full-scale education program for sisters in person. This is the kind of stuff that people would travel for to attend. It's now, alhamdulillah, in our backyard, world class. We have an after-school Islamic education for girls, middle school, and high school. Right? So every 2 or 3 days a week, after school, fiqh, aqidah, seerah, all of this is available for middle school and high schoolers. And the same for boys. So again, after school for middle and high schooler boys. General women education program, dedicated to the challenges, the reality, not just general halaqah, but specific towards sisters. We have martial arts and self-defense classes for youth. So this is, again, they're training together, they're bonding, they're building this brotherhood. And when the salah time comes, they're praying together. Like, all of that is happening here today. Sisters martial arts and self-defense classes. Brothers martial arts. And so we have, again, youth, brothers, and sisters, all separate for them. We have a full-scale women's gym with personal training. We have women's yoga, fitness, and Zumba classes. We have a full expert skincare and acne treatment for youth and women. This is all in the village today. This is not something in the future. This is all in the village today, alhamdulillah. Completely private, full-scale hair salon for sisters. Babysitting service. This is the first rendered picture. This is not how it looks, but it's in progress and it will be done, inshallah, in a couple of weeks. Babysitting services for ages 6 months to 4 years. We have a new event hall for our events. This is something that we needed, that we had only the MPR here. This is 1,200 square feet, for our events and for the community to rent out as they need it. So if you have an event and want to rent it out. We have a modest apparel, lifestyle products gift shop in the village. We have hijab parties. We have community art classes. We have inspiring and engaging nature education programs. This is a whole different side that we wanted to bring to our youth. Not just the tangibles, but the nature and connecting to the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Homeschooling environmental education. Space for hosting homeschool co-ops. A full-scale cafe and catering. And an executive meeting room that we rent out. These are over 30 services that we have been able, alhamdulillah, with the blessing of Allah, with the opening of Allah, to bring to this community. This is provided by 10 amazing operators. Jannah Institute, Empire Training Ground, STEM Heroes Academy, Ayat Academy, Noor Company, Hala Cafe, Riverburst Youth, Be So Beauty, OC Skincare, and AWI, the Art and Wilderness Institute. Brother Muhi was just talking about creating jobs. Alhamdulillah, in the past 6 months only, these 10 operators have created 50 new jobs for people in our community. In our community, subhanAllah, right? So this is an important reminder. The purpose of nonprofits is not to make a profit. Let's just make that very clear. The purpose of a nonprofit is to provide services and create positive change to its community. Right? And this means that some programs or services will cost more than the revenue they bring in, and the job of the nonprofit is to gather grants, funds, and donations to bridge that gap. And this is a very important reminder as we think of any of these services that we're talking about. Because sometimes we're so used to the capitalist sort of, like, how much are we making, how much are we doing? This is a nonprofit. So how much is this costing? All right? So all the different HOA, rental fees, extra staff, janitorial, maintenance, repairs, utilities, insurance, and a buffer above all that is around $600,000 a year. So that's the cost of bringing these services into the ICOI community. Now, if you think of that cost for all these services, I would say that's great. Why? Because we could not offer these services, like a women's gym, for example. Right? Where else could you get that? It's the masjid that has to provide that. Similar to Sunday school and other things. Think of it like that. But alhamdulillah, this is not just the cost and that's it. We're also getting revenue from this. So when we look at the operating fees, just the operating fees, we are alhamdulillah making $495,000 a year. This does not include, because remember, we are just ramping up right now. Right? Literally, all of these organizations are in startup mode. They're all like crawling before they even walk. And right now, alhamdulillah, we're anticipating $495,000 a year. That's in almost guaranteed revenue. And then we still have revenue sharing. We have direct revenue that comes from the babysitting and the banquet halls. Those are things that we get the revenue directly. There are no operators. So this current deficit of $105,000, again, we're very transparent with the community. You need to understand that that's what's happening right now. But inshallah, this is, we believe, a very small deficit that could easily be overcome and surpassed, inshallah, as these operators, as these businesses start to run. And this is my invitation to everyone here. Bring your business to this community. If your kids are taking martial arts somewhere else, if you're doing your hair somewhere else, all of these things, subhanAllah, communities are measured by how long the dollar stays in the community, right? And the Muslim community, the dollar doesn't stay much. But inshallah, actually, we have examples of the village just in the I would say 3-4 months that we've really been active, where people are coming, taking a service here, working in this organization, putting their kid in this organization, like that money is starting to cycle within the community, alhamdulillah. So, how much did this cost? This was the flyer from last Ramadan where we asked the community for $1.8 million for the renovations. The $1.8 million were divided, $400,000 for 5540, the second floor, $600,000 for 5520, the two-story building, and we needed $800,000 for the single-story floor that we're really transforming into a banquet hall. All of these services that I just mentioned are only in 2 buildings. They're only in 5540 and 5520. We still have a whole building, I would say, that's still more or less on pause till the permits are done, because that building, just the way it's structured, we have to really gut it so that we can create this massive space of 4,000 square feet that we want to create. We're still using it daily for stuff, but for the purpose that it's designed for, that's not there yet. So if you look at these 2 buildings, we needed $1 million to get these 2 buildings operational. Alhamdulillah, with the blessing of Allah, with a lot of hard work, with a lot of creativity, we were able to do so with around $80,000. $80,000 is the actual amount till today that we have paid for tenant improvement. And we have asked our operators to take a lot of that load too. So again, these operators, some of them have invested over $250,000 to get these businesses up and running, right? So they believe in this vision. They wanted to partake with us and said, okay, we are going to invest with you. We're going to build this village with you. And so alhamdulillah, right now, the expansion committee is looking, inshallah, as soon as the permits are acquired, we need $800,000 for the last building, and we already have around $150,000 dedicated towards that. So alhamdulillah, it's looking good.
So if you guys have any questions, please feel free to ask. We have another 20 minutes before 9. If you have any questions, just please let us know.
Math, English, and Frank classes that Brother Ahmed mentioned, is it after school or for homeschooling kids?
Math and English?
Yeah.
For homeschooling. Right now, the question was the math, English, and science classes that we have. Right now, most of the kids in it are homeschool kids because of the timing. So it starts from 1 to 3. But if kids want to show up between 1 and 3 and take the classes, sure. It's not exclusive for them. It's in the 5540. It's in the STEM Academy.
Jazakumullah khair for everybody for doing a wonderful job, and we Allah reward you for that. One thing that really kind of caught my attention when you're looking at the financials is there is absolutely no reserve funds for a nonprofit organization, which is almost a huge risk. So how do you plan to address that? And that isn't that a big risk when you're just, and your 2 biggest line items in revenue is donations. So, thank you.
Thank you. If you recall, before we acquired the buildings, we had a tremendous amount of reserves, millions in fact, and we at that point had invested that in certain halal money-making opportunities. And then we had a community meeting, and the community members were opposed to us using those funds to invest like that. Why are you putting in stock? You should purchase building. So we took that feedback, and we have invested in the buildings. So in a way, if you look at it, the buildings are our reserve, right? If, God forbid, something happens, the independent building that's not been, the tenant improvements are still waiting, we need $800,000. Potentially that could be used to be sold, or however we can use it, and that would become a reserve. So we got to look at it holistically. So if you look at a balance sheet, it's pretty good because we have millions in property that's appreciating over time, better than potentially the stock market. So that's a big reserve that's sitting there. But indeed, if you look at the actual cash, it looks pretty low. And as I said, as we approach Ramadan, we're starting to see that this amount will spike. And right after Ramadan, if you look at our reserves, they're huge. They're over $1 million, probably around $1.5 million. And then as the year goes by, it gets lower. Inshallah, we're hoping we'll do the fundraiser for that $800,000. Once that building becomes operational, it'll start generating more revenue, and then we keep adding it to the reserves. So sometimes a nonprofit like ours has to take some calculated risks in order to look for the long term and make the future much stronger than it is today. I hope that answers your question. The question is, buildings and stocks are not liquid. Liquid meaning, in finance terms, if I need to extract the money, it takes a few days or maybe a few months in the case of buildings. That is correct. At the end of the day, we are not, that reserve is good because that's not the money used for operations. Every month, alhamdulillah, you see people donating. Now you have this electronic donations. There's donations ranging from 150,000 to, in some months, even up to 250,000. And then from there, the expenses come off. Yes, some months there may be more expenses than the income. In some months, there are more donations than income. So that number has not gone down significantly. So that's always there for us to draw on. And that's how, so far, Allah has blessed us and we've been able to sustain. We are, as a finance committee, constantly looking to increase that buffer. And inshallah, that'll happen in the months to come, we hope. And we hope all of you are praying for that, and we hope all of you are increasing your donations so that buffer can grow. Tell your friends as well, so we continue to increase that buffer. That'll be the best thing that can happen to us, inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum, jazakumullah khairan. So one thing I loved about the investment in the new buildings is the concept of waqf. So there's nothing wrong with making money on these investments and use that money for your operations. So being negative is okay, but there's nothing wrong with making it positive. At the cap rate of 8 or 10%, you should be looking at 200, maybe 150 to 200 at least. And that will help with the OPEX, at least for the masjid. And building on that, are you planning to rent some of these spaces to like businesses, offices and stuff? I know there's a lot of businesses, including myself. We rent outside. Is there a way we could rent on this? If you have the stairs, that's the condition.
So, inshallah, as we acquire more. So we as you all know, we had an RFP for the community about who would like to operate in the village. It was open for a while, but people don't read the emails, but anyway. The point is, we had a lot of professionals apply, a lot. Lawyers, accountants, and so forth. We did not prioritize that. We prioritized services to the community at this moment. Even though one can argue that an accountant is a service to the community, but a Hifz school provides a lot more value to the community right now. So that was our priority right now. We have thought about this. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant this community more barakah. We acquire more buildings, and truly, this community, Allahu A'lam who will live and who will die here, but we really hope that this community will have the vision that all those 10 buildings become part of ICOI one day. That is our direction of expansion, right? Inshallah. And when we do that, it's going to change the entire landscape for us. Inshallah, we'll have professionals there, we'll have offices there, and so forth. But as of right now, that is not the priority.
Sisters, any questions on the sister side? And just to add to Brother Ahmed, the RFP that Ahmed was talking about, we had 39 submissions in the RFP. So we couldn't actually accommodate all of them, but alhamdulillah, that shows you the level of interest that we had in the RFP process.
Jazakumullah khair. Apologies, I'm going to move away from finance questions. In terms of, as a community, what services do you think we're kind of falling behind on in terms of getting community engagement and getting involved in? So opportunities that we should take care of and put effort into, besides just the village.
Can you give an example what's on your mind?
No, like right away I think about in terms of youth programming and youth director and other aspects.
I can talk all day, but does anyone else want to? Again, so the idea is to find operators, number one, that are doing that. And inshallah, we want to offer even more youth programs. That is an area where I think for a couple of years now, it's been a gap for us, known gap, right? And it's an area where we could do more in, like just point blank, right? What other services? I do think there are many. The cemetery we talked about, that's something that we really want to be able to offer ghusl and takreem to those who pass away. But alhamdulillah, I do think the concept of the village provides the platform, right? It's a matter of space. So there was another building that came on the market. We couldn't move on it quickly enough. But if you had another 7,000 square feet, you start to think, what other services could we bring, right? A full-time school, a full-time supermarket. Like all of these things, those are things, if you start to expand your imagination, we could do, but it's a matter just of time, inshallah.
Jazakallah khair.
Yeah, and also we are trying to, if you look at the bylaws amendments that is there, we are trying to open up a youth director position there for the board of directors so that we can open that channel. We have a dedicated resource working towards that, inshallah.
Okay, assalamu alaikum everyone. First of all, my gratitude to all the board member and all the volunteers. You guys are doing a wonderful job giving your personal time to the community. Thank you. I have one question and one comment. My question is, do we have any criteria, and this was also a question during the community, during the candidate forum, do we have any criteria for the sheikh that we are trying to hire? Like, for example, are we looking for any particular aspect of whatever, you know? Secondly, the comment, the suggestion is, we have like 8 or 10 brothers here that we got together a couple of days ago, and we say, if we can have, it's probably not appropriate to say, but you know, if we can have, if we can approach Sheikh Yasir Fuzaga, who has been very near and dear to a lot of us in this area, if we can approach him and ask him if he can be, like, you know, come to us, and because, you know, he had been a great resource in the past, and we'd love to have him back.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. You asked a very tough question, but I just want to reassure everyone here that since we knew about Sheikh Mustafa's resignation, the board has been working very hard and diligently to figure out what is our next step in finding, inshallah, the best fit for ICOI. So we immediately actually established a search committee that had board members and non-board members as well. And we started, we consulted with Dr. Haifa, we consulted with Sheikh Mustafa himself, and then some of our board members who actually know other shuyukh, they actually talk to the shuyukh that they know in terms of just getting feedback, of understanding what's the layout of the land out there. So we were surprised to find out the following. 2 main things that came out from all of our conversations. Number 1, for a masjid, mashallah, as big as ours, and I was surprised to find that some people were describing our masjid as a super masjid, okay? I didn't think we are a super masjid. Turns we are, mashallah.
I'll take it.
Okay, yes. And the criteria for that, it turns out, is how many people do you have actually coming and attending the regular prayers? So mashallah, you look at the Fajr prayer and Isha prayer, it's just like it fills your heart with joy. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, this community is blessed, alhamdulillah. So anyway, so we are considered a super masjid. So masajid nowadays are steering away from a 1 imam, 1 masjid. Like, you know, what we had at ICOI so far until now is like you have 1 religious director, correct? But we, in all of our conversations and consultations, it seems like masajid are turning towards having more than 1 imam at the same masjid. Each one of them is responsible for an area. It doesn't mean this is what we're gonna do, but we're just exploring right now. So that was the first discovery that we had. And then the second discovery was that many imams are actually reluctant to work under a board. So many imams are really trying to establish their own corporations, okay, and work as a corporation with different masajid. So that's another factor that we kind of like just discovered. Also, as you all know, mashallah, all of you who are, you know, residents of this area, Irvine is very expensive. So I'll just be very candid with you, we already have approached 10 respected imams, 10. And all of them have declined coming for many reasons. One of them is it's very expensive to live here. And the idea that they are comfortable wherever they are, in the position they are and how they set up, their situation, okay? So we are working very hard, okay? Sheikh Yasser Fazaga is one of the people we also considered, okay? We did not ask him we did not propose to him to become an imam, but we did consider him, and we're still exploring other imams and other candidates. I'm trying to think. One more thing I want to emphasize because it came up. As you know, we have a visiting scholar program, and so alhamdulillah, we did that because we wanted to make sure that the spiritual needs, the educational needs of the community are being fulfilled while we are looking for an imam. But I want to let all of you know that most of the visiting scholars who are coming are not interested in being an imam at ICOI. So I'm inviting you not to raise your hopes, okay, whenever they see. Just enjoy them. Okay, learn from them, be with them, make sure you actually come. So they're not coming for interviews. Okay, they are just coming because they are helping us out during this time. So I hope I answered your question.
Well, I was asking more of like, what kind of attributes we look for,
Okay, so I will, brother, okay, so we are looking for someone who has a solid Islamic education, okay? We are looking for someone who is also wise, okay? Someone who has some experience, someone who can actually build a community, someone who can connect with the community, someone who's very good with relationships, okay? At some point, we were looking for someone who can also do fundraising, and then Dr. Haifa told us that shouldn't be really having this as a criteria, But mainly, we are looking for solid Islamic education and character. And if you think about it, these are the two criteria for actually even a man getting married, right? And that's what we're looking for. And the pool for imams right now in the US is very small, very small. So we are asking for your dua, for your patience, for your understanding, and feel free to email us. Just email us with your comments, questions, objections, whatever it might be. We try to be very responsive. We try. So
thank you.
So we have 2 more minutes.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you. I just want to second that. Al-shukran wa Allah ya'tikum al-afiyah for all your help. May Allah put barakah, inshallah, in this community. I had 2 questions. One regarding space outside the masjid, specifically parking for disabled and senior citizens. It's very hard to tell people to go and take a bus, especially if they may not be able to step on it. And then 2, the hammam, the men's hammam of the 4, again, for senior citizens or disabled, of the 4 sit-down wudu stations, only 1, to my knowledge, works. So can you let us know how we can help and what efforts are being used?
Jazakallah khair. Yes, we'll definitely take those comments. We obviously, as a board, like we said in the beginning, we're definitely trying to be a governing board, and we leave all of the facility issues to Sister Karima and Brother Amin. So we'll definitely take that comment and make sure we fix any issues immediately. In terms of handicapped or senior citizens or access, we have very limited space. Right now, the spaces that we have are according to the specs and to the laws and the regulations of the size of the parking lot. Right now, with the extension of the village, We actually have a lot more spaces, and inshallah, when the gate opens, you'll be able to park on either side, whether on the ICOI side or on the village side, and just access it. So when we do open the gate, if you notice, it is kind of a higher elevation. There will be a ramp for like an ADA compliant ramp, where you can actually park on that side and actually use the ramp to get to the masjid very quickly. So in terms of like long-term planning, that's the vision. You know, we're doing the best with what we can in terms of like getting space with the Chinese center and big occasions, and with the New Horizon and so on for big events. But you know, we're doing the best with what we can. Ahmed, if you want to add.
Yeah,
anything.
just and the team here really does their best when there are high volume events. Even though the number of official handicap spots are X, they actually reserve, you know, a lot of the space here, and they just put a sign and only handicap are let in, like Ramadan, Taraweeh, and so forth. Even sometimes during Jum'ah. So I think we're noted 100%, and we can, inshallah, do more in that space.
Inshallah, and the security also lets you kind of drop off, and then if somebody's driving them, they can kind of drop off and park somewhere else. But there's
regarding that bathroom thing that you were just talking about, inshallah, Sister Karima is here. We will just make a note, inshallah, and we will try to work on it, inshallah. Jazakallah khair for that.
All right, so that is 9:02. And I think, alhamdulillah, we went over everything we wanted to. We just want to thank everyone here. This audience means a lot to us. It really, really does. It means that, again, it's not just you guys do whatever you want. No, you guys care. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you all for staying till 9 o'clock. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us to see you come again and again when we have these community events. We'll end with some dua. Or you had a question? The last question before dua.
The question is, can you put your every meeting's minutes on the website so that people will know what are you people planning and what are you talking about it? It will be more transparent.
We can take that under consideration, yes, inshallah.
Yeah, inshallah. We are actually discussing about that. So we will come up with a way, inshallah.
Inshallah.
We'll do that,
I will conclude with some dua. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us, inshallah, the blessing and the barakah of doing work for His sake. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put barakah in all the efforts we do. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide our hearts to make decisions that is best for this community. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala purify our intentions and our actions. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala remove any hatred or animosity we have towards any of our brothers and sisters. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help our brothers and sisters in Gaza, in Lebanon, and in Sudan, and all around the world. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make our effort just a tiny ounce towards what we should do for this ummah. Ameen, ameen, ameen. Wa sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam tasliman kathira.